My girlfriend mocked me for being poor. After I paid her tuition, so I went silent, got rich, and sent her a screenshot of my bank balance. I'm a 26-year-old guy who used to think love meant sacrifice. Back when I was 21, I met her in a statistics class I barely qualified for. She walked in wearing a lavender sweater, gold hoops, and a confidence I'd never seen in someone my age. I was immediately smitten. She was brilliant, funny, ambitious, and completely out of my league. Her family drove Teslas. Mine drove rusted loyalty and leftover debt. But somehow she noticed me. She laughed at my dry jokes. She stayed after class to compare notes. One night turned into 3 years. We started dating during finals week, and I fell fast. Maybe too fast. She'd talk about grad school, law school, all the schools I couldn't afford even to visit. But I wanted to help. I needed to feel useful. So I started picking up extra shifts at the diner I worked at, then later Ubered till 3 a.m. between classes. I sold my PS4, stopped buying anything I didn't need. All so she wouldn't feel like her dreams had to be delayed. She never asked me to pay her tuition, not at first. It started small. Can you spot me $200 for books? My loan's delayed. Then rent. Then groceries. Then her parking pass. It's just until I get through the semester, babe. We're in this together. And I believed her. Every damn time. My own education started falling apart. I missed deadlines, dropped a course, skipped meals just to make sure she was covered. My friends warned me, said I was being used, but I waved them off. Love was about building, right? About sacrifice and shared struggle. She promised we were building a future together, but I had no idea she'd laugh at the foundation I laid. I kept telling myself it was just a phase, just a rough patch, but the temporary support turned into something more permanent. 1 semester turned into 3. It wasn't just tuition anymore. It was textbooks she couldn't afford, takeout because she was too stressed to cook, career coaching packages she swore would land her a dream internship. And every time I hesitated, even for a second, she'd give me that look, the disappointed one, the how could you not support me look. So I caved again and again. I stopped eating lunch at work to save cash, started walking to class instead of catching the bus, sold my old laptop, sold my gaming console, my only escape. My shoes had holes. My phone screen was shattered. But I told myself it was worth it, that once she graduated and got that dream job, we'd be okay. We'd laugh about this someday. Her parents never liked me. Her dad once called me that charity case with a beard. Her mum said I had the eyes of a dropout. But she used to defend me. She'd say, "He's got more drive than anyone I know." That used to mean something, until it didn't. The shift was subtle. At first, she'd joke around me like she always did. But then came the dinner with her new friends from a student leadership group. We're all crammed into a booth at some overpriced tapas bar, and someone asks how we met. She grins and says, "He was this broke guy in my stats class. I thought I'd save him." They all laugh. I force a smile, but it hits me like a slap. Later that night, I ask her what she meant. She shrugs. "Babe, relax. It's just a joke. Don't be so sensitive." But I wasn't laughing, because deep down, I knew something had shifted. Graduation day came with tears in her eyes and pride in her voice. But they weren't for me. She walked across that stage in a cap and gown I helped pay for, with a smile that screamed freedom. I clapped so hard my hands stung. Took a blurry photo with her afterward. She posted it with the caption, "I did it all on my own." Girl boss, self-made. I read it 3 times. My name wasn't there. Not even a thank you. Still, I told myself she was just overwhelmed. Then came the changes, fast ones. She landed a decent entry-level job at a marketing firm and suddenly started leveling up. New clothes, new heels, new iPhone. She started going out with co-workers to network, which slowly replaced our date nights. Her texts got shorter. Her calls rarer. She started spending money like she'd forgotten the years we scraped together change for instant ramen. One night I told her I was thinking of going back to school. Maybe coding. Maybe business. Her laugh was light, but it cut deep. That's cute, she said, sipping her wine. But babe, the world doesn't care how hard you work. It cares how polished you look. I froze. She smiled. Completely unaware of what she'd just done to me later that week, I sat with her and two of her new friends at brunch, people with expensive shoes and louder voices. They joked about startup guys who never make it. She added, "My boyfriend's got big dreams, but, he's smart, just not marketable." Not marketable, that word kept echoing. She looked at me and giggled like it was funny, like I hadn't sold pieces of myself for her success. And in that moment, something inside me cracked. Quietly, permanently. It was supposed to be a casual dinner party. Just a few co-workers, she said. Chill vibes, she promised. She needed help setting up, so I left work early, stopped by the store, and brought a bottle of red I couldn't afford. I ironed my only decent shirt, sprayed the cologne she once said made me smell like a man who knows things, and walked in, trying to believe I still mattered to her. The apartment was buzzing, soft jazz, wine glasses clinking, laughter that didn't belong to me. She floated around like a hostess on a cooking show, hair curled, voice lilting with every new introduction. I stood behind her, waiting for her to pull me into the circle. "This is my boyfriend," she finally said, waving in my direction. "He works at a warehouse. Keeps things moving." The laugh that followed wasn't malicious. It was worse. It was dismissive, forgettable, like I was background noise. I forced a smile, said, "Hey." Nobody asked me another question. Later, as people started cleaning up, I offered to grab the dishes. She looked over her shoulder and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Let's be real, he's not exactly CEO material." Laughter exploded, even from people I hadn't spoken to all night. I felt my hands go cold. I slipped away into the bathroom, closed the door, and just stood there, staring at the mirror like I didn't recognize the man looking back. My eyes stung, but I didn't let the tears fall until I sat on the edge of the tub. Quiet, ugly, humiliated. That night in bed, I lay stiff beside her, back turned. She nudged me with her foot and said, "If I married you now, it'd basically be charity." I didn't move. I didn't speak, but I also didn't sleep, not for a second. The next morning, I made coffee like I always did. 2 sugars, no cream. She didn't even glance up from her phone. The silence between us wasn't awkward. It was suffocating. I stood there for a while, staring at her profile, her manicured fingers scrolling through Instagram, double-tapping photos of rooftop bars and overpriced brunches. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. But instead, I just said it, calm, like a man who had nothing left to lose. "I'm moving out." She looked up, blinked once, then smirked. "Okay. Is this like a break or something?" "No, I'm done." She set her phone down slowly, like she couldn't decide if this was real. "Wow, okay, I guess I outgrew you. That was it, no fight." No apology. No thank you for the years I gave her. She didn't ask where I was going, didn't offer to help. I packed 2 duffel bags, my clothes, my laptop, a photo of us I didn't have the heart to tear in half just yet. Everything else stayed behind. The couch I paid for, the blender, the mattress, the framed artwork from our first trip together. She kept it all. I asked about the tuition money once, just once. She rolled her eyes and said, "You were my boyfriend, not my bank." Then she blocked me on everything. That night I slept on my buddy Eric's couch. My spine ached. My chest felt hollow. I stared at the ceiling fan spinning above me, wondering how someone I loved so deeply could throw me away so easily. But in that darkness, something lit up inside me. Not rage, not revenge. Resolve. I decided I'd never let someone weaponize my love against me again. I left the city with 2 bags, a bruised heart, and just enough in my bank account to last maybe 3 weeks. I didn't tell anyone except Eric. I just vanished. No goodbyes, no explanations. I took a train to a cheaper city, found a shared basement apartment with paper-thin walls and a roommate who sold crystals on Etsy. I signed up for a tech boot camp I could barely afford, took the payment plan, worked overnight shifts doing warehouse loading. On weekends, I delivered groceries until my feet blistered. Sleep became optional. Food became instant noodles and gas station coffee. I studied during lunch breaks, watched coding tutorials in the backseat of my car between gigs, and cried, more often than I'll ever admit, when the silence got too loud. Every time I felt like quitting, I remembered her laugh. The way she said charity, the way they all laughed with her, that pain became my fuel. I failed a few assignments, got ignored in job interviews. My code sucked, but I kept going. I stopped scrolling social media, stopped comparing. I became invisible to the world, and I used that invisibility to sharpen every part of myself. One night, while doing a late coffee run for a customer, I accidentally spilled an oat latte on a laptop bag. I apologized profusely, offered to pay for cleaning, but the guy, mid-40s, quiet, just smiled. "You always this polite during a 10 p.m. delivery?" I shrugged, trying to stay employed. We got to talking. Turns out he ran a small software company. I told him I was in a boot camp. He asked for a portfolio. I didn't have one, just messy GitHub links and half-broken projects. He looked anyway. 3 weeks later, he emailed me, junior dev position. Start Monday. For the first time, someone saw my worth without needing proof. I was still broke, but for the first time, I was also free. That first day on the job felt like walking into another universe. Fluorescent lights, open office layout, people who talked in acronyms and drank kombucha like water. I was terrified. Everyone around me seemed like they were born into this world, tech bros with expensive laptops and Ivy League resumes. And then there was me, the guy who once couldn't afford a bus pass, but I kept my head down and coded like my life depended on it, because it did. I stayed late. I asked questions. I watched YouTube tutorials on weekends and built mini projects on the side. I didn't have the fanciest degree, but I had hunger, and that was harder to compete with. Within a year, I got promoted, not because I was the smartest in the room, but because I was always the one still in the room when everyone else clocked out. With a little savings, I built a simple productivity app, something small, something useful. Just a tool to manage micro tasks with built-in accountability. I posted it on Reddit, then Product Hunt. It exploded. Nothing viral like millions of downloads, but enough to pay my rent in passive income. Enough to prove to myself that I could build something from scratch that people actually used. My app made it to a few top tools lists. A podcast invited me on to talk about how to build with grit. My clothes changed, mostly because I could finally afford ones without holes. I got a better apartment, a real desk, a mattress that didn't make my back scream. People who once rolled their eyes when I said I had ideas, they were now liking my LinkedIn posts and sending connection requests. A few even asked if I was hiring. I wasn't dating. Still healing, still rebuilding. But my life had structure now, purpose. I didn't just level up, I reinvented the game. It happened on a random Tuesday. I was in the middle of debugging a stubborn piece of code when I checked my phone out of habit. One notification from Instagram, new friend request. I tapped it without thinking. Her name hit me like a punch to the chest. Same profile photo style, flawless skin, latte in hand, fake, candid smile. But something was different. She looked tired behind the eyes. Older maybe? Or just less untouchable. Curiosity burned, so I clicked on the message she'd sent with it. "Hey, you look amazing. Would love to catch up sometime." My thumb hovered over the screen for a full minute. I could feel my pulse in my neck. Every muscle in my body wanted to scream, "Why now?" But I didn't reply. I didn't even accept the request. I just stared at it like it might blink. A week passed. I told no one. Then, while grabbing lunch with Eric, my phone buzzed again, this time a text, but not from her. It was from Jordan, a mutual friend I hadn't spoken to in years. "Hey bro, her name asked me to pass this along. She said she's going through some stuff and misses how you used to take care of her." I didn't respond, Not even when the second message came in minutes later. She said she always knew you'd be someone. Something inside me twisted, not pride, not validation. Rage, but buried under layers of disbelief. I thought about all those nights I'd skipped dinner, all the times she called me charity, all the times she left me unseen. Now suddenly she wanted to catch up. I put my phone down and finished my coffee. I didn't owe her a damn thing, but I also wasn't done with her, not yet. I won't lie, I fantasized about it, about calling her out publicly, about screen recording her DMs and posting them with the caption, "Remember when I was just the broke warehouse guy?" I imagined the comments rolling in, the shared posts, the delicious karma. I even drafted a response once, something polite but scathing, something that would hit just the right nerve. But every time I hovered over the send button, I paused. Eric told me to let it go. You already won, man. You're living proof that she was wrong. Yeah, maybe. But something inside me still craved the moment. Then, one night, I went down a rabbit hole, checked her LinkedIn, her Instagram, whatever wasn't blocked. And there it was. She'd bounced between 3 jobs in the last year. One company folded. Another let her go after 6 months. Her latest role? Customer support at a struggling startup with no health benefits. She'd posted a quote a few weeks back. Be kind. Everyone's fighting battles you can't see. It was almost poetic. Then came the message. I could really use a guy like you in my life again. No punctuation, no shame. I stared at that one sentence for what felt like an hour. Read it over and over like it might change. Like maybe the words "I'm sorry" would magically appear if I tilted my phone a certain way. They didn't. But something else did. Clarity. Not anger. Not ego. Just a sharp, precise understanding. That this was it. The full circle moment. Didn't want revenge to hurt her. I wanted it to remind her, to let her feel what it was like to be small in someone else's story. And I knew exactly how to deliver it. I waited until I was calm. No adrenaline. No shaky hands, just clarity. I sat at my desk, the same one I built myself from salvaged wood during the boot camp days. The soft hum of my monitor, my phone beside me, her message still unread but glowing. I opened my banking app. There it was, £1,421 983.76. Not from inheritance, not from luck, from me. From every late-night delivery run, every line of buggy code, every moment I wanted to quit but didn't. I didn't just survive, I built, took a screenshot. No cropping. Let the commas breathe. Then I opened Instagram, accepted her request, and sent one message. Just thought you'd want to see what not CEO material looks like now. Hit send. No emojis. No punctuation. No follow-up. I watched the screen. She read it within seconds. Seen, no typing bubble. No wow, no I'm sorry, just nothing. 10 minutes later, I refreshed. Her account was gone, deleted, erased, like she never existed, like she couldn't handle the reflection anymore. And you know what? I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't fist pump or scream. I just sat there, breathing slowly, letting the silence wrap around me, because that silence, that absence, that was the real victory. She used to laugh at the foundation I laid. Now she couldn't even look at the empire I built on top of. It took me a long time to realize that healing isn't loud. It doesn't come with fireworks or applause. It doesn't announce itself with closure texts or perfect explanations. Sometimes it's just waking up one day and realizing you're no longer angry. You're no longer waiting for an apology that's never coming. You're no longer tethered to a version of yourself that let people drain you dry. Her betrayal broke me, but it also forced me to rebuild on my own terms. Stronger, smarter, softer in the right ways, sharper in the ones that mattered. I never reached out again, never checked to see if she reactivated, never asked why she did what she did. And I didn't need to. I forgave her, quietly, In the privacy of a morning walk when the sun hit just right, and I realized I didn't want revenge anymore. I didn't want her guilt. I didn't want her back. I just wanted to keep growing, so I did. I started mentoring kids who came from where I did, broke, overlooked, full of fire, but no direction. I helped one of them build their first app. I donated to a local tuition fund under a fake name. Nobody knows it's me. That's the point. Because the best kind of full circle is the one that doesn't need to be seen. She gave me pain. Yes, but pain is a teacher too, and while she made me feel like I was nothing, her absence helped me become everything I needed to be. I never needed her apology. I just needed to become the man I was meant to be. The cafe hadn't changed much. Same flickering light above the corner table. Same chipped ceramic mugs. Same chalkboard menu with overpriced pastries and bitter coffee. But something had changed me. I walked in wearing the same hoodie I used to pull tight when I couldn't afford heat in my apartment. Nostalgia hit me like a wave. Nights I cried into my books. Days I studied here between shifts. The quiet ache of being invisible while everyone else sipped lattes and talked about summer internships. I ordered the same thing. Black coffee, no cream, 2 sugars. When the barista handed me the cup, I slid a $500 tip into the jar. She blinked. "Is this real?" I just smiled. "Pay it forward." I sat for a while. No laptop, no headphones, just me, the smell of burnt espresso, and the ghost of who I used to be. On my way out, my phone buzzed, a DM from a name I barely remembered, one of her old co-workers. We'd maybe met once, back at that awful dinner party. Hey, random I know, but her name talks about you all the time. Says you were the one that got away. I stared at it for a second. Not angry. Not smug, just still. Then I hit delete, no response. No reaction. Just release, because I didn't need to reply. Not anymore. She'd spent years trying to mold me into something I wasn't. And now, I become something she couldn't even comprehend. I didn't get revenge, I got rich, healed, and finally, I got even.